Hello YouTube, welcome back to my playthrough of Brothers in Arms Road to Hill 30. I hope that you guys are enjoying this series. If you are, drop a like. Let's continue from where we left off right here. And we're going to be looking at some of these extras, recreating Normandy. Let's look at this. A U.S. Army Signal Corps photo reveals a destroyed German Stug. Above the road and the hill to the right is the house featured in Buying the Farm. When Gerboxe visited Normandy almost 60 years later, structures like this farmhouse were still intact and used to delight the surveyors. And yeah, that's the house I took cover in the previous part from the mortar fire. It looks exactly like it. Gerboxe designer Eric Doscher studies the farmhouse. The farmhouse recreated in Brothers in Arms. The real-life counterparts of the other houses in the Buying the Farm courtyard. The photo source was used to recreate these buildings in-game. The other Buying the Farmhouses they were recreated in Brothers in Arms. It's really impressive the amount of detail developers went to with this game. The Sherman tank. Oh.
The Sherman tank.
Sherman tank, probably the best tank of the war. I know some people, there's a lot of arguments over what the best tank is of the war. Some people say it's a Sherman, other people say it's a Soviet T-34, some people argue it's the German Panther tank, but here's what I'll tell you. I know a little bit about tanks. German tanks were way more complicated. They had all of these parts. They were just much more expensive and complicated to put together. The Germans thought that by making really big, powerful tanks like the Tiger and the Panther that they would turn the war in their favor. But here's the thing: for every single Panther or Tiger tank that was out there, the Americans could probably make 20 or 30 Shermans for each one. So we outnumbered their tanks by a lot with our tanks. And on top of that, the Shermans were very easy to repair. They were very simple. Panther tank or Tiger tank breaks down, oh man, yeah, you're gonna have a lot of problems, and especially giant tanks like that and giant engines. On top of that, one thing I do know about the Sherman has an escape hatch underneath, on the floor. And a lot of tanks did not have that in World War II. So a lot of tanks, the only way to escape was through the hatch in the top. And if you were trapped in there, you're dead. So Sherman tank had a hatch underneath where they could basically just crawl out underneath, crawl out through the back, and then run away. So it was a safety mechanism designed to save lives, and it definitely did save lives. At the end of Fury, you remember the main character, he survived because he hid underneath the tank where his entire crew had died.
Tanks like this landed in the first wave at Omaha Beach and linked up with the paratroopers of the 101st Airborne near Carentan.
Sherman's definitely massive amounts of help. And also, if you see here, you see like sandbags on the Sherman tank. There was crews, Sherman crews would oftentimes put stuff on the side of their tanks, sandbags for extra protection, or they would also put on logs. Like in the Pacific campaign, for example, a lot of tanks, they actually put on logs on here just to give them a little bit extra armor.
The Sherman tank was armed with a 75mm cannon, which was used most effectively against the sides or rear of enemy tanks.
There's also the Sherman that was later in the war that had the 76mm, I believe.
The Sherman tank.
German Army Fallschirmjagers. Oh, these guys, paratroopers.
The German parachute infantry, or Fallschirmjagers, were the best equipped and most highly motivated light infantry in the German army.
See these pouches that he has right here? These are MP40 pouches right here. So this guy would be carrying an MP40.
The German 6th Parachute Regiment and the 3rd Parachute Division fought in the Normandy battles. These German paratroopers, like their American counterparts, were all volunteers. They had more modern rifles and a higher allocation of machine guns, anti-tank weapons, and mortars than regular infantry.
So, about these guys, the Fallschirmjagers, you could make the argument that these guys were basically German special forces during World War II. These guys were very elite, and these guys had actually managed to break Mussolini out of a mountain prison. in Italy. So in 1943, after the German defeat at Kursk, I think it was. Yeah, it was Kursk. That King Emmanuel of Italy had Mussolini arrested and had him put in this mountain prison. The German Fallschirmjagers actually dropped into the prison and actually busted Mussolini out, and then they had him create a government in northern Italy that was basically a puppet of Nazi Germany. So these guys were very well trained, very elite. They were also ruthless. Like I said in my previous parts, the Fallschirmjagers were engaged in war crimes. These guys did some horrible things in Greece. In Greece, these guys were the reason that Greece was conquered in World War II. The paratroopers had a huge part in the German invasion of Greece. They also fought in Normandy. They also fought in Italy. On top of that, these guys also did war crimes in Eastern Europe. There was villages in like Ukraine and Belarus that these guys had just mass murdered. So a lot of the Fallschirmjagers, these guys are very brutal. Now, here's the thing. Now, this is what confuses people a lot. People, there's this big misconception that people have, this big misconception about the Germans in World War II, where people think that the SS were the only war criminals. People think that, like, for example, like the Wehrmacht, and they think that the Luftwaffe, that they did not do horrible things like the SS, but that's just not true. The SS were the worst of the worst, but there was also plenty of really bad units that also did some horrible things. And as for the Fallschirmjagers, these guys did a lot of war crimes. A lot of war crimes. They did some pretty nasty things. So this idea that it was just that mainly the SS and all the other German units that they didn't do bad things, it's just not true. It's just false. But about the Fallschirmjagers, the reason that these guys had committed such war crimes, the reason that these guys had done such bad stuff, is because think about it. Somebody that's a paratrooper is somebody that's going to go through some elite heavy training. So these guys are almost like special forces. And typically, who are special forces in a country's military? Special forces in a country's military are typically the most loyal to the government. They're the most loyal to the country. So that's why Fallschirmjagers were oftentimes engaged in such war crimes, because a lot of these guys were fanatical Nazis. Their special elite training, these guys were extremely fanatical to the regime, almost just like the SS in a way. So, and a lot of these guys would fight on till the end. So that's about the Fallschirmjagers. That's the reason that they had committed such war crimes, is that they went through such elite training. They were so much into that Nazi ideology. These guys were Nazi Germany special forces in a way, basically. And they were the most fanatical to the regime. And typically a regime, when they chooses their special forces, they're going to choose the people that are the most loyal to the regime when a country uses its special forces.
The Fallschirmjagers proved highly effective in the defensive actions they fought against American infantrymen in Normandy, and were fierce opponents. The German...
Okay, let's look at June 9th here. German MP40. This is going to be interesting.
This is the German MP40 submachine gun.
Probably about the MP40, I would probably make the argument probably is the best submachine gun of World War II. Now, some people might disagree with me on that, but the reason that I think MP40 is the best submachine gun of World War II is because it was cheap, very easy to manufacture, and it was simple. One of the downsides of the MP40 is that the MP40 does not have a semi-automatic mode. So MP40 can only fire fully automatic. There is no semi-automatic mode. So soldiers basically have to fire in bursts. If they were going to be firing at one, if they wanted to fire at longer ranges, they would probably be firing at bursts. This button right here, you see this button? This is the magazine release on the MP40. This will basically drop the MP40 magazine out. You basically put another magazine in, cock the bolt back, and that's it. You're ready to go with this thing. As long as there's no bullet in the chamber. If there's a bullet in the chamber, the bullet's going to fly out. This button right here, you see this one? This is the foldable stock. So this right here, this will basically close and open the stock. A lot of World War II games, what I hate about a lot of World War II games is that soldiers primarily are using the MP40 without the stock. And I personally think that that's stupid, is that soldiers in combat would not be taking the MP40 out with no stock. They would have the stock out and ready. They would be resting it against their shoulder. So yeah. But about the MP40 also, MP40 also fires 9mm parabellum. MP40 would not have as much recoil as a Thompson. Thompson would have much more recoil than an MP40. But yeah, that's what I would say about the MP40, is that MP40 was probably the best submachine gun of the war because it was just so cheap, easy, simple to manufacture. And also notice about the MP40, it doesn't really have any wooden stuff. It is purely metal. And you would think that wooden stuff is actually cheaper to manufacture than metal, but no, metal stuff is actually typically easier and cheaper to manufacture than wooden stuff. So when there's a lot of wooden parts in a gun, the more that you can make a gun metal, the cheaper that it gets. But anyways, about it is the MP40 actually inspired 3 other submachine guns. So there's 3 other submachine guns in World War II that the MP40 is directly based on, or they base their designs on the MP40, I should be saying. First up, the British Sten. The British Sten is the cheapest submachine gun of World War II. It was the cheapest one, and the British Sten, it was inspired by the MP40. I know some people might argue with me on that, but the British wanted to make their own metallic submachine gun that was basically very easy to produce, did not really have any wood in it, and they could get it out really quickly, and that was the Sten. Second gun that was based on the MP40 is the PPSH-43. Not the 41, the PPSH-43. The PPSH-43, the only difference between that and a PPSH-41 is the PPSH-43, I think it has a little bit of a longer barrel, but on top of that, PPSH-43 does not have a wooden stock. It actually is a foldable stock. So it's basically like, think about PPSH-41, the wooden, stock, but on top of that, it is going to be, has a foldable stock in the back, and it doesn't use drum magazines, it only uses stick magazines. The reason that the Soviets started using stick magazines instead of the drum mags is because the drum mags started jamming a lot. So PPSH-43 and Sten were both inspired by the MP40, and then also the American grease gun. The American grease gun was inspired by the MP40 as well. And about the grease gun is, the reason the US got the grease gun out, even though the Thompson was a great gun also, is because of the fact that the Thompson was such an expensive gun to make. It was such an expensive weapon to design and produce, and that's why they got the they started making the grease gun. A lot of tankers, for example, tank units, they really liked the grease gun. It was an easy gun that they could actually hold within their tanks. But the grease gun is actually a pretty big submachine gun. It is not a small submachine gun.
The MP40 was the standard German submachine gun of World War II and was the preferred weapon for squad leaders in the German army.
Yes, this is true, is that, again, squad leaders, NCOs, you had sergeants, and then also you had officers, captains, lieutenants, that actually carried the MP40 with them. And there was troopers that also carried the MP40 that were not NCOs, some, like you had assault troops, stormtroopers that also carried it.
The MP40 is 32.75 inches long, with the folding metal stock extended, and it weighs 8.7 pounds. The MP40 was a very lethal weapon at close range. Many Americans preferred the MP40 over their own submachine guns and scavenged them whenever possible. In Brothers in Arms, you can feel free to take one for yourself.
Yeah, and about this is, you see he has a bunch of MP40s, 1, 2, 3, 4 here. But about this is that soldiers oftentimes took a lot of trophies home. They did. Here's if you're wondering, for example, if you ever go to like an American gun show and you see like a lot of like World War II guns for sale, specifically like, Japanese, American, Italian, guns. Those guns were brought over as trophies. So like a lot of American soldiers, they would find those guns and then they would bring them home. And then what would happen is they would either sell them, or over time what would happen is that the person would die of old age, and then, their kids would inherit the guns and they didn't want them, and then they would sell them, and that's how they oftentimes get into gun shows. So if you're wondering how like a lot of these World War II guns end up like in a lot of American stores, it is primarily because of that. It is because a lot of soldiers had brought the trophies home. For example, like I purchased a Carcano that was it was an Italian World War II rifle that was brought over by an American soldier as a trophy. So I purchased one of those.
This is the German MP40 submachine gun.
Alternate route official, after action report. Select to view this image set. Okay. After action report detailing attempts to discover an alternate route to advance on Carrington. Just a few minutes before the dark of the night that the 5023 was to move out, Captain Henry G. Plitt, RGT S3 was told that an alternate route might be needed for the advance, and that the information would be needed before 0300. He took a Piper Cub from Houseville and scouted the railway line south of the Douve as a possible alternate. The hour was about 21:30, but there was still sufficient light for his purpose. Flying at 1,500 feet, he could see the bridge over the Jordan-Douve intersection and noted that it looked passable for foot troops. The real bridge across the alternate route was not destroyed in the action during the Normandy campaign. The alternate route bridge in Brothers in Arms. Okay, let's continue from where we left off here. Oh, Purple Heart Lane. An open causeway is the only path to Carrington. The last bridges into town is secured by a Belgian gate and covered by machine guns. Oh, man. Okay, let me talk a little bit about this. So, about Purple Heart Lane, I know that, Purple Heart Lane, I know a little bit about this. I also researched this a little bit more for the video, but I know a lot of people that are watching this are going to think Hell Let Loose, because Purple Heart Lane is a huge part of the game, Hell Let Loose. But Purple Heart Lane, the reason that it's actually called that is actually has a very dark name behind it. The Purple Heart is an American medal that you got, and you still get it even to this day. About the Purple Heart is the Purple Heart is a purple medal that you get, and you get it for being wounded in action. So if you actually get wounded in action, you do get a Purple Heart medal. And the reason that it's called Purple Heart Lane is because the amount of casualties that the U.S. sustained. So a lot of Americans have been hit, a lot of Americans have been wounded, and that's precisely why it's actually called Purple Heart Lane. Here's something really crazy about the Purple Heart medal. The most insane and largest amphibious invasion in history would not have been the Normandy invasion, but actually Operation Downfall. For people that don't know what Operation Downfall is, Operation Downfall was the U.S. planned invasion of mainland Japan. So the U.S. had actually planned to invade Japan right after the Okinawa campaign. But what happened was, Japan ended up surrendering because of the atomic bombs. So that invasion, was canceled. But that would have been even larger than Normandy. That would have been the largest, would have passed Normandy as the largest amphibious invasion in history. Now, about that is that when we were planning on invading mainland Japan, we expected to take so many casualties. We would have had so many casualties in an invasion of Japan, probably more than even in the European theater, because it would have been such a costly invasion, going through Japan, taking all of Japan. It probably would have taken us another year if that invasion was carried out. But about that is we expected so much resistance from the Japanese because of how fierce they fought on the islands that the U.S. had actually printed millions of Purple Heart medals, millions. And then when the invasion was actually canceled, we had millions of Purple Heart, medals. And so those medals are still being used even to this day because we produced so many of them because we were expecting so many casualties when we invaded Japan. So think about this. Soldiers that fought in the Korean War that were wounded got Purple Hearts that were made in World War II. Soldiers that fought in the Vietnam War that got Purple Hearts that were made for the invasion of Japan. Same thing for the Gulf War. Same thing for the Iraq. Same thing for Afghanistan. So any kind of conflict that we have fought in since World War II, the Purple Hearts that soldiers have gotten for being wounded have been Purple Hearts that were intended primarily for the invasion of mainland Japan. But about Purple Heart Lane, Purple Heart Lane, it was a causeway, a really big road, and this was leading into Carentan. Correct me if I'm on my pronunciation. It was a town in France, in Normandy. Now, about this is that this was a large road, and there was like farm fields around, and it was also a very marshland area. There was a lot of wetlands, so it was kind of like marshy, wet conditions. There was a storm I'm pretty sure there was a storm that had gone through the area, but a lot of it was also open plains, open fields. And this was an area where the Fallschirmjagers were actually dug in very well. And so the U.S. was actually going through there. A lot of casualties that the U.S. had actually suffered. The highway was actually called Highway N13, and it was the only route into the town from the north. So that was, if it's the only it's the only route into Carentan, and the Germans knew this very well, and they were fortifying it. Now about Carentan, the reason that the U.S. wanted to take the town of Carentan really badly is because Carentan was a town that was in between Utah and Omaha Beach, and they needed to secure that town in order to link both of the armies that were from Utah and also from Omaha Beach. So they wanted to have that as a strategic point. They could link, get supplies through, get troops through, and then they could push and take, the rest of Normandy and then push into rest of France. Now Hitler and the Nazis, they knew about this, and that's why Carentan was actually fortified so much. What actually happened was another thing I forgot to mention is that there was actually a really big German garrison that was actually in the town of Cherbourg. Cherbourg is a town that's to the north of France. It was also in the Normandy area, and Cherbourg was a port town. And Hitler had actually believed that the Americans were actually going to end up landing there. But no, we actually landed in Normandy, and then we basically pushed around towards Cherbourg. But about Cherbourg, Cherbourg had a massive German garrison. I think it was like around 30,000. And what happened was the German garrison that was at Cherbourg, they actually wanted to pull out of Cherbourg, because if you look at a map, and I'll show you where Cherbourg is, when the Americans landed in Normandy, it was very easy to cut them off, to cut off the Germans and surround them that were in Cherbourg. There was no other way. You know, they were basically cut off by ocean, and the Americans had controlled the waters. So there was no way for the German garrison to basically get out. Once they were trapped, they were, you know, pretty much screwed there. And the German garrison that was at Cherbourg, they wanted to pull out. The commander actually wanted to pull out. They actually wanted to leave. Even Rommel had told Hitler that you got to pull this garrison out. You got to get them out, because they're going to get surrounded. They're going to get trapped. But Hitler was such an idiot, and in Hitler's mind, there was no such thing as in retreat. In Hitler's mind, it was only you stay, you fight, you advance. There's no such thing in the German army's retreat. He saw any form of retreat as a cowardice, but sometimes in the military, you need to retreat in order to fight another day, and sometimes it's better to retreat because your entire army can be destroyed. Sometimes you actually win later on by retreating. Sometimes it does make sense, you know. But in Hitler's mind, he could not comprehend this. In Hitler's mind, it was always retreat is always cowardice. Retreat will never retreat. And because Hitler did not let the garrison pull out, if that garrison had actually pulled out of Cherbourg, they could have actually reinforced Normandy troops, and then Purple Heart Lane and Carenton would have been actually even much worse. But Hitler was such an idiot, he did not let the garrison actually pull out, and what ended up happening was they got surrounded, and then they surrendered. The garrison surrendered. Yet thousands of German POWs, and Hitler was saying, oh, you know, they're cowards, they don't want to fight for Germany, they're not true Germans. But what were they supposed to do? They were basically trapped. They were surrounded. The ocean was controlled by the Americans. The land there was controlled by the Americans outside of Cherbourg. They had no way of getting out of Cherbourg. They were pretty much screwed. They were running out of ammunition. They were running out of supplies. They were, you know, low on that. They basically were screwed at that point. It was over. But also, going back to Purple Heart Lane, what I wanted to say about this, and it was the 101st Airborne that was at Purple Heart Lane. At Purple Heart Lane, there was actually a bayonet charge, and this, I did not know about this. The bayonet charge I didn't know about, but I just found out about that recently. But it was led by Lieutenant Colonel Robert G. Cole. He led the 3rd 502nd in a bayonet charge across the causeway, and that was to get the Germans out of their positions. The Germans were so well dug in that it was pretty much a charge to overrun them, to get them out of there, because they were just so well dug in. But during that charge, 67% of the original force had been lost. So whatever we're going to see here in Purple Heart Lane and Brothers in Arms, this is going to be a very, very brutal battle. And the Colonel Cole had actually gotten, Lieutenant Colonel Cole had gotten a Medal of Honor, which is the highest decoration in the U.S. military for that bayonet charge. But that's got to be absolutely terrifying. It's charging into the against the Fallschirmjagers, who are well dug in a very open area, pushing straight down the causeway, straight down the road. I will also say about the Fallschirmjagers. The Fallschirmjagers carried FG-42s, and they were specifically a rifle that was designed for the German paratroopers. And about that gun is it fired 8mm Mauser, so it fired the exact same bullet that the Kar 98 fired, the MG-42, and also the Gewehr 43. But anyways, you know, enough of me talking about this history. I know it's covered a lot here. Let's do Purple Heart Lane. Let's see exactly what's going on here.
When you're under fire, there's really only one thing on your mind. Survive. I ran faster than I ever ran in my life, and I was carrying 30 pounds of gear. Somehow your brain starts to rationalize. Just get down this road, Matt Baker. Just get down this road and you'll be going home. It's only once you stop running that you start to wonder, will any of us actually return home alive?
Yeah, that pause at the end, alive.
Come on, Remus. Look at me, buddy. Look at me. That shot wasn't far off. We gotta move. He's not even dead yet. Hang on. Obi, Zanovich, let's move. What are you doing? I'm saving your ass. Let's go. Targets! More Germans! Red, move now! Let's move! Understood. Call Oh, shit! I'm on it! Red! Fire on that position!
Okay, guys, Springfield 1903 here. Got you. Okay.
Target them! Red!
Mess them up now. Those are, you know, Fallschirmjagers. Yep, 6th Fallschirmjager Regiment. Okay. One more. Ooh. Yeah, and I like about that you have to reload each bullet individually in the Springfield. The Springfield 1903 would have had the scope. You could not load with super clips. You have to load each round single.
Corian! Stay on me! Red! Fall in!
Yeah, this is what Purple Heart Lane looked like. It was a lot of farm fields, and it was very like wetlands, marshlands.
Target! That way! Double time! Corian! Go over there! Got it! You heard the man! Roger that!
Let's see, what are we dealing with here? 3 of them over there, okay.
Corian! Stay with me! Let's go! I got it! Head that way! Move your asses! I'm on it! Die schlachten uns ab!
Still one more.
Keep shooting! Red! Put some fire on him! Even suppressive fire! Covering fire! Here we go! Good shooting! I don't see any. Corian! Tighten it up! Red! Time, boys! You're with me! I hear ya! God bless the Thompson.
Oh yeah, this is what it was looking like. Yeah, imagine crossing through this in the open, no trees. You're a sitting duck.
Quick, get over there! We got Greg! Corian! Hurry up! Get over there! Here we go!
The Advance to Bridge 4 on the causeway. The only route to Carrington is along the deadly causeway. Stay on the low ground and behind cover to avoid enemy snipers. Okay. Fallschirmjagers. Oh, they're not in cover yet. Okay.
That's it! Get him! Red! Let's go! Let's get him! I'm reloading here! Back down! Corian! Fall in! Red! You're with me! Slow down, understood. Breathe, and pick your shots. I need you over there! Get moving! Corian! Stay with me! Red! Bring it in! I hear ya!
This is it? One squad? Well, shit. Today's as good a day to die as any. If we're gonna make it up this goddamn causeway alive, we're gonna have to lay suppressing fire on those crowds.
This is Lieutenant Colonel Cole. Yeah, this is him.
What I gather, they don't like us too much.
Real life guy. This is the guy who led the charge in Purple Heart Lane.
Red! Move! Let's move! Corian! Set up there! Let's move!
German reinforcements will arrive until you reach the end of the causeway. Okay.
Red! Take them down! Corian! Take them out! Here we go! He's down! Corian! Heavy fire! Red! Shit! Fire! I can't even see it! Let's give them what we got! Corian! Target that area! Here we go! I can't shoot it! Get down! Get down! They're hitting us back! Corian! Give me a face and fire on that raid! Here with me! Red! Let's stick together! Corian! You're with me! Head that way! Red! Move fast! Let's keep up the fire!
Damn. Okay.
Pour it on!
Hard side! Watch it! Fall in!
Pour it on!
Corian! Get over here!
Target's active! Move your asses! Let's keep up the fire!
He's down!
More crowds over there!
Go over there! Red! I need you over there! McCreary! Corian! Fire on that position! Red! Face of fire! Over there! Keep up the fire! Corian! Suppress those bastards! Red! Stay on me! Corian!
Move now. Move.
Understood! Corian! If you want to live, you better suck it in and squeeze through that gate! They surround us and set up an MG on our flank! Sergeant, go take it out!
Kill the Germans and swap before you can go through the Belgian gate. Okay. Crap. Oh. Really bad. Okay, really bad right now.
Stay with me! Let's go!
Oh, that was rough.
DeSola! Hurry up and go!
Very little goes through your mind when you're knocked out by a bomb from a low-flying Stuka. You're not really awake or asleep, you're just sort of there. It's pleasant, really, while you're out. But somewhere in the back of your mind, you know when you come back, it won't be pleasant. God, I hate being right all the time.
Pulse charge, so this is the charge I talked about earlier.
Dead. Matt, DeSola didn't make it. Take it easy, you've been out for a while.
Oh.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make any goddamn sense.
We gotta go, Red. Red! We gotta go.
DeSola didn't survive that at all. And Stukas are German attack planes. But yeah, they did a pretty good job recreating Purple Heart Lane. Fields, some bushes, some trees, but mostly like wetlands.
Holy shit! Bulletproof Matt Baker, back from the grave.
All right, here's the deal. You knew it'd be rough when you joined the Airborne. Now you're gonna learn what rough really means. In a few moments, the Artie will smoke the other end of this causeway. The smoke will conceal us as we run across the field and take the farmhouse. If you see something move, shoot it. If it screams in German, shoot it again. Nobody moves till I give the command to charge.
I hate this part.
Hold! Stay with me! Let the smoke build! Wait for my order!
Artillery can also call in smoke. Yep.
Okay, let's go!
You can't even see what we're going into. This is, yeah, this is the bayonet charge.
Don't stop! Keep moving!
Red! Corey in! Quick, get over there! Hit the guard! Get to that cover! Red! Move it!
See what we're dealing with here. Lieutenant Colonel Cole is leading a charge to uproot the German defense at Carrington. The Ingo farmhouse will become his command post. Fallschirmjagers. Fallschirmjagers. More of them. Great. Okay.
Red! Take that MG-42! Target that MG-42! You're with me! Red! Follow me! I'll do it! Corian! Head that way! Move your asses! I hear ya! Another one! Hurry up! Get over there! Red! Move! Hit them now! Let's get them all we got! Can't shoot there! Get the flag! Stay on me! Red! Fall in! I'm on it! Yes!
Oh, I think we have to clear out the other guys. Okay.
Corian! Get up here! Red! Get over here!
Okay.
I hear ya! Understood! Red! Stay low and go! You heard him, let's move! I'll do it! Like him! Make a move! Fire in the hole! Cease fire! Cease fire!
Oh, damn. What?
Red! Fall in! McCreary! Let's stick together! No, brother's never gonna believe this! I hear ya.
You! Keep moving forward and clear out the rest of the Germans in the area. I'm setting up the command post here. Go! Give them hell!
McCreary, form up! Red, you're with me. Go! McCreary, set up there! Target that area!
Reloading!
Red, that's it! Down!
Go!
Give me a face and fire on that position! McCreary, target them!
Here we go! Cover shooting!
Move to that position! Red! Go, go, go! Keep up the fire! McCreary! I need some rapid fire! Covering fire!
Got one, okay.
Fire! Fire! Take him from the How much can these guys take? Fire! Magazine! Another down! More coming! Come on! Get down!
Got him, okay.
Reloading! Keep up the fire! I'm out! Almost got him! Suppressing! No one stops firing! Routes are pinned! Covering
McCreary! I need you over there!
shooting!
McCreary! Press those traps!
Lay it on! Covering fire! Suppress them!
Red!
Eat it,
Double
Crow!
time!
Let's move! Flank them! Come on!
Okay.
Shit, they're shooting at us!
Red! Hit him hard!
I think I just got one. Okay.
Routes are scared!
Schon dabei! Red! Go over there! McCreary! Put some fire on him!
Press them, okay. Get up here.
Red! Suppress those bastards!
Here we go!
stay with me. McCreary, follow me.
Understood.
Red, move. McCreary, let's go.
Understood.
McCreary, take that MT-42.
I'm out. I can't hit him.
McCreary, stay on me.
There's another MG42 up the road, okay.
The army's coming over the slope.
McCreary, fire that MG. Target that area.
More Germans!
Move it.
You got it.
Cover me. Red, go, go, go.
Covering fire! Bomb share!
McCreary, stay with me. Red, rally on me.
Double time! Yes!
Okay.
Heavy base of fire. There, now. McCreary, fall in. Give me a base of fire on that position. Shit, fire. Red, base of fire, over there.
Baker, get down! I can't hit him!
McCreary, stay with me. Obi, let's stick together.
Understood!
Get to that cover. McCreary, go.
I'll do it!
Get up here, double time. Obi, bring it in.
I hear you.
The
They're all dead!
Oof, okay. That was rough.
I guess I can't just go back to farming after all this.
Baker, you did a damn fine job today. That was one of the finest military executions I've ever seen. Let's get back to the farmhouse.
Okay, so I guess we'll leave it off here. We've taken Purple Heart Lane. Oh man, yeah. Very difficult mission indeed. But thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this part. If you did, drop a like. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.